Liz Cheney is her father's daughter. A previously hidden transcript obtained by the Federalist shows that Liz Cheney's January 6th committee suppressed evidence that Donald Trump pushed for 10,000 National Guard troops to protect the nation's capital. Cheney and her committee falsely claimed that they had no evidence to support Trump officials' claims that the White House had requested 10,000 National Guard troops. In fact, an early transcribed interview conducted by the committee included evidence that said precisely that. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Liz Cheney can't know everything. Oh, really? Was she attended and personally participated in that interview? If Liz Cheney was any more underground with the truth, she'd be fracking. Trump wanted 10,000 National Guard troops for January 6th. Now, despite this, Democratic Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser declined the offer and only requested a few hundred troops to serve in a limited capacity. Hey, you can't blame her. Democratic mayors love riots and chaos. You can't argue with me, can you? Now, once the Capitol was breached, then they'd pull their heads out and send the troops over ASAP, right? Wrong. Once the Capitol was breached, the Trump White House pushed for immediate help from Acting Secretary of Defense Miller, and they grew frustrated at the slow deployment of that help. Now, why would the Secretary of Defense be slow to act? Maybe because of this guy. No, use the graphic without the mask. Maybe because of this guy, Darth Cheney. Days prior, Liz Cheney had secretly orchestrated a pressure campaign to prevent the Department of Defense from deploying resources on January 6th. How, you may ask? Well, she organized an op-ed for the Washington Post from her father and other former secretaries of defense specifically to discourage Miller from taking action. So he's got Dick Cheney and other former secretaries of defense specifically discouraging him from taking action. You don't think these guys all have each other on speed dial? Give each other work, protect each other? They're saying, well, you can either follow Trump or us. Pick. They're going to Dick Cheney every time. Plus, Dick Cheney has that forced choking thing where he doesn't even have to be there. So, despite all of this,
I don't know what that meant.
Asserted in her report that Donald Trump never gave any order to deploy the National Guard on January 6th or on any other day, nor did he instruct any federal law enforcement agency to assist. Liz Cheney was so good at hiding evidence, she's now being asked to consult for the FBI.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make this quick video to highlight that the Liz Cheney and J6 committee suppressed evidence that exonerated Trump on the issue of ordering or requesting 10,000 National Guardsmen to protect the Capitol just in case a riot took place, which did, by the way. But these articles and this video will basically spell out what occurred. And their transcripts from folks having conversations about ordering up National Guard troops to protect the Capitol, but it was suppressed, right? And so now the public became aware of this. This is an old story. It came out in March of this year, but still, I think that the warmongers and the fearmongers and the people that hate Trump, they're relying on the public's not paying attention to current events, and they're relying on their short-term memory about this sort of stuff, because in the end, these things are going to be investigated, and it's very important for all the gatekeepers on the internet to keep this information in public view, so that when we go back and view the records, we can determine for ourselves who is lying and who is not. But I want to get into another article. It's by Town Hall. The title is, "Here's the Evidence Liz Cheney Tried to Bury During the January 6th Probe." Written by Matt Vespa on March 10th, 2024. He got this out pretty early, 6:30 a.m. I can't say that this is surprising. Still, it provides another chance to take a swipe at former Rep. Liz Cheney Republican of Wyoming, who the Federalist has busted for suppressing exculpatory evidence concerning the ongoing anti-Trump narrative that the former president orchestrated some violent coup on January 6th. One bit of proof Cheney didn't want to be widely publicized is the Trump administration security plans, which included 10,000 National Guard troops to protect Washington, D.C. The city rejected it. These revelations were gleaned from an interview with Deputy Chief of Staff Antonio Ornato, who heard conversations between White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. Meadows wanted the city to request whatever they needed to keep the peace, to keep the city secure. Cheney was reportedly present for these interviews. Molly Hemingway has more. So this link right here will take you to a Federalist article that gets into more detail about the events on that day. But I'll stick to this article since I started with it, right? Here's a X post, right? Here's an X post. How old is it? Okay, most of this is from March. All right. Cheney and her committee falsely claimed that they had no evidence to support Trump's officials' claims the White House had communicated its desire for 10,000 National Guard troops. In fact, an earlier transcribed interview conducted by the committee included precisely that evidence from a key source. The interview, which Cheney attended and personally participated in, was suppressed from public release until now. Deputy Chief of Staff Anthony Ornato's first transcribed interview with the committee was conducted on January 28, 2022. In it, he told Cheney and her investigators he overheard White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows push Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser to request as many National Guard troops as needed to protect the city. He also testified President Trump had suggested 10,000 would be needed to keep the peace at the public rallies and protests scheduled for January 6, 2021. Ornato also described White House frustration with Acting Secretary of Defense Christopher Miller's slow deployment of assistance on the afternoon of January 6, 2021. Where was Lloyd Austin? Where was the Secretary of Defense proper? Was he in the hospital? Was he UA? I don't know. Not only did the committee not accurately characterize the interview, they suppressed the transcript from public review. On top of that, committee allies began publishing critical stories and even conspiracy theories about Ornato ahead of the follow-up interviews with him. Ornato was a career Secret Service official who had been detailed to the security position in the White House. Ornato said White House concerns about January 6th were related to fears that left-wing groups would clash with Trump protesters and that no one in the White House anticipated a riot at the Capitol. Antifa and other left-wing groups were planning protests for the same day. Left-wing groups had been involved in violent assaults on Trump supporters following public protests. Bowser's decision to decline help from the White House did not end the Trump team's effort to secure troops ahead of the protests. When the D.C. mayor declined Trump's offer of 10,000 troops, Ornato said the White House requested a quick reaction force out of the Defense Department in case it was needed. Once the Capitol was breached, the Trump White House pushed for immediate help from Acting Secretary of Defense Christopher Miller and grew frustrated at the slow deployment of that help, according to the testimony. So then I remember the chief saying, hey, I'm calling Secretary of Defense to get that quick reaction force in here, Ornato said. Later he said, and then I remember the chief telling Miller, get them in here to secure the Capitol now. So I'm not going to read the rest of the article. It's basically, the conclusion is that they threw the book at Donald Trump, right? They got him on 91 indictments, 31 felony counts in New York. They impeached him twice. They daggone did this January 6th committee to try to get him in prison for an insurrection that really he did not incite. And there's evidence here that J6 committee members suppressed exonerating Trump from the claims that he did not request 10,000 National Guard troops, which was completely false. This is trending all over the internet. They even shot at the guy, right? Clipped his ear. And, you know, he still got reelected as the 47th president of the United States. And these guys are so fearful that Trump is going to exercise some type of retribution. Now, listen, when his cabinet members get their sea legs about them and they start to dig through the files and the evidence and things like that, and they find something that is so egregious, it may warrant an investigation, but it's not doing it for the sake of doing it like they've been doing it to Trump, right? It's, holy crap, this is illegal what they've done. Let's investigate it more. It has to be so egregious that warrants an investigation. And I think some of this stuff that the Democratic Party and the Republican rhinos have been doing over the past 4 years warrants an investigation. And so that's my opinion. And, you know, God bless Trump supporters. God bless Trump. And I hope that we have an exciting 4 years of prosperity and unity. Thank you very much for joining the show. I'll see you on the next video.